Episode 2. What do you want to be when you grow up? Hey, Triggers. Welcome back to the podcast. This is Episode 2, and today we're dragging one of the most ridiculous questions adults love to force onto children before they even know how to zip their jackets. What do you want to be when you grow up? Not who are you? Not what makes you light up. No, they want careers, titles, and job descriptions kids can't even spell. So buckle up, because we're going to tear apart childhood expectations, pretentious art culture, and the lies adults fed us with straight faces. I was walking through a downtown art museum, the kind of place where grown adults stare at a beige circle on a white canvas, like it's whispering divine secrets, instead of what it actually looks like, a stale donut having an identity crisis. The walls were white, the lighting was dramatic, and people were nodding as if the artwork had personally unlocked their chakras. I wasn't there for enlightenment. I was there for the free air conditioning and to watch strangers emotionally connect with overpriced shapes. I stopped in front of one piece, a giant beige circle labeled depression. According to the museum brochure, this was a profound commentary on the emotional void of modern society. Honestly, it looked like communism and a communion wafer had a baby. A group beside me whispered deep existential nonsense about emptiness and cycles of despair. Meanwhile, I was trying not to laugh because this thing looked like a sad donut waiting for therapy. Before I could move on to the next masterpiece of minimal effort, I heard the incoming chaos of a school field trip. A stampede of tiny humans stormed into the gallery, with backpacks bouncing and shoes squeaking like a swarm of caffeinated insects. Their tour guide, scarf, clipboard, and the exhausted academic energy of someone who once had dreams, clapped her hands and declared, "All right, class, this is the careers in art section. Some of you may want to be archaeologists, painters, sculptors, curators, or designers when you grow up." The kids looked at her like she'd just told them Santa files taxes. One boy chewed on his sleeve. A girl poked a sculpture like she was testing if it was alive. Another asked, "Is a curator like a dinosaur?" I pretended to study another piece, a giant black rectangle titled Grief, because apparently we're doing symbolism with duct tape energy. While watching the whole scene play out like a wildlife documentary. You know the kind. Adults trying to assign life paths to children who still think glue sticks are snacks. The guide pushed enthusiasm like she was trying to sell them lifetime memberships, and the kids' souls visibly left their bodies. One girl stared at a sculpture that basically looked like a fork welded to a brick and said, "My baby cousin could make that." And honestly, she wasn't wrong. And somewhere in all that chaos, the sad donut art, the fork brick masterpiece, the children fighting for survival, something cracked open in me. I remember that question everyone asked us as kids, like it was some mandatory prophecy. What do you want to be when you grow up? And watching those kids, restless and confused, it hit me. Not once in my entire childhood did anyone ever ask, when you grow up, can you just be you? They didn't want that answer. They wanted something respectable, something they could brag about at church potlucks. Doctor, nurse, engineer, lawyer. Anything but the truth. Me. Standing there, surrounded by overpriced symbolism and kids who just wanted lunch, I felt that quiet ache settle in. Not the dramatic breakdown kind, just the heavy whisper of something real. We were forced to pick a path before we even knew what we liked. We were coached into roles before we understood our own personality. We were trained to audition for identities that had nothing to do with us. We spent years trying to become something, only to later realize we'd never been allowed to just be ourselves. And yes, I played along. I tried to be acceptable. I tried to be impressive. I tried to fit into the shapes adults handed me. Meanwhile, the truth sat there the whole time, quiet and patient, like that stupid beige depression circle on the wall, whispering, "You were enough before any of this." So now, when someone asks me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I smile with that quiet, knowing clarity that comes from stopping the performance. And I say, me. That's the only job I was never allowed to apply for. But here's what I want you to sit with, Triggers. When you were growing up, were you ever actually allowed to be yourself? Or did you have to shrink, twist, or contort into a role that never fit your skin? Was being you uncomfortable for the adults around you, so they tried to shape you into someone easier to explain? Think about that for a moment. And if this episode made you laugh, irritated you in all the right places, or cracked open something you didn't realize was still sitting inside you, hit subscribe and drop a comment. Tell me what they forced you to become. Tell me who you really were before the world tried to resize you. Episode 2 is done. Episode 3 is already creeping in.